Okay, a father forever. Here we are in Newark, Delaware, and I'm so proud to have a guest on our podcast, a Father Forever podcast. His brother's name is Jordan, and they welcome you to a Father Forever.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me here.
Man, it's a blessing. As you see, I'm in Delaware. I'm in the country. I'm a country boy, and you can see our background, a little bit of peacefulness. You may hear the birds singing, and they're just chiming in to tell us we're doing the right thing, you know, in touch with the universe. Hey man, so where were you born?
Man, I was born in Chester County at Chester County Hospital, located in Westchester. Born in 1986 and lived in Chester County most of my life up until about 3 years ago. So Chester County is where I was born, but I grew up in the town of Oxford. Oxford is lower Chester County, about I would say 5 to 10 miles from the Maryland border. So yeah, grew up there most of my life. I lived there. I lived also through other parts of Chester County. I've lived in Westchester. I've lived in Avondale. I've lived in Kennett Square. But mainly Chester County.
So you know Chester County like the back of your hand then?
I would say so. I know it pretty well. Chester County is home. Even though I don't live there, I still work in Chester County. I work at Lincoln University in Chester County, and I'm there quite often. My family's there. Most of my family's there. So
well, let's talk about your family. You were you born and raised with both parents?
Born and raised with both parents. Yep, my mother and my father. Yes, they were there the entire time. I moved out when I was 18, and the entire time they were there. They were there.
Man, that's you're fortunate and blessed to have both your parents there.
Very much so. I recognize it now more so than ever. How much of an impact that had on me in terms of having both of my parents. My mom worked as a housekeeper. My father worked at Cubicore Printing, and he did that, a lot of manual labor, did different shifts. He had rotating shifts, so day, could be afternoon, could be night, hard worker. And they both taught me a lot of values that I did recognize when I was younger, but now that I'm a father myself, I see myself repeating a lot of things.
We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're any siblings?
Yes, I have an older brother, Marcus, we're about 3.5 years apart. Yep.
Your big brother. You have
My
a big
brother.
brother.
Yes.
Nice,
Oh, yeah.
nice. Let's talk about your dad.
Uh-huh.
Well, first off, was there any grandfathers in your life?
Yeah, I had 2 grandfathers. One unfortunately passed away when I was 1. His name's Paul, and he was on my dad. That's my dad's father. And then I also have my mother's father. His name was Earl, but everybody called him Tech. And Tech, my mother's father, and he was alive up until I would say I was around 12, somewhere around there. I could be a little off, but somewhere around that age. And yeah, his house was the place to go to in Avondale. Through a lot of parties. We used to go there all the time. So if it was a barbecue on my mom's side, it was at my grandfather Tech's place. And then my aunt Ida lived next door, so they would do like a combined backyard type of deal. So a lot of memories there. And even though I don't remember my dad's dad, I still remember, going to the house where my grandmother lived, and seeing a lot of pictures. And I used to confuse him all the time for your dad, believe it or not, because I thought they looked exactly alike, and I used to mess it up all the time. I would see Uncle Jake, and I'd be like, "Oh, it's Grandpa." They're like, "No."
Oh, because you were young.
So, oh yeah.
So your mother's father, what kind of impact did he have on your life?
He had a significant impact. He showed me, and I still carry this with me today, about music. I just talked about this the other day with my girlfriend Whitney, with music, in that he loved the blues, loved country, loved R&B as well, but was big on blues. So I love music. I listen to music every single day. There's not a day that goes by where I don't listen to
different genres of music.
Different genre. It could be anything. But I learned a lot of my music or love for music from my grandfather because he just played it all the time. I learned the value of home ownership. He owned his own home. He built his own home.
He built it.
Yeah, he built his own home. My mom used to talk, I mean, she still does. She harps on it all the time about how my grandfather built his own home. He may have had some help from his brothers, but he built his own home.
Wow.
Yep. So I learned about that as well. I learned about, now I'm not a gardener, but I did learn the importance of having your own supply of food. He had a nice garden he used to tend to all the time. Every morning he'd wake up. I remember when I would go over there to be babysat, he would be out in his garden all the time with his beer in his hand. He loved to drink. Of course, that's another part that I learned as well. But that was my mother's dad. He was just a person who liked to have fun quite often. Quite the talker, quite the entertainer. That's how I knew him when I was younger.
Oh, that's interesting. Let's go to your dad now.
Okay.
Yeah.
My dad, wow, man, so many things I could say. My dad taught me a lot through not only the things he was able to provide physically in terms of material things, and I can't look back on my life and say there was something that I did not have in terms of material. My dad got us whatever we wanted. Video games. We were the house to come to. I mean, we lived in an apartment, but all my friends would come over to our place because we had the latest video games. We had Nintendo, we had Sega, we had the PlayStation, we had all that stuff. So cousins and stuff would want to come over. But my dad was a person, loved sports. That's where I got my love of sports from, I would say. At a young age, I really wasn't totally into sports, believe it or not. Now I watch sports damn near every day. But as a young, I didn't really get into it. I knew I wasn't a great athlete. I knew I wasn't probably going to pursue sports. But I just didn't attract to it all like that. But
Just had no interest.
Yeah, just didn't have a big interest. And then was watching my dad and his love of sports was something that I picked up as well from him as well. My dad was a hard worker. He worked all the time. He always stressed, whether he vocalized it or was just through his actions, just the importance of work. So he did that quite often. My dad would do, it wasn't uncommon for him to do, 12, 16-hour shifts, things of that nature. So being a hard worker is something that I learned from my father as well. But yeah, my dad, same. He loves to have a good time. Makes some jokes. I probably get my comedy from him. Our jokes are not always for everybody, but I probably get some of my humor from my dad. Definitely people say my laughter and how I laugh comes from my dad sometimes. So yeah, there's a lot of things that my dad has instilled in me.
So did you have friends who didn't have fathers?
Yes, not just friends, but I would even say a lot of my cousins. That is something I learned as I got older. The importance of fatherhood, because seeing it on both sides, not only on the Denson side, but also the White side, was my mom's maiden name is White. I have cousins who did not have fathers in their lives, and I saw what type of impact that had, and also how there were other men who would step in for that. My father being one of them, you being one of them as well, and others in the family who fulfilled that role. And it also, as I got older, it helped me understand why my dad was a family-oriented person. Going to my cousins, whether it was be a basketball game, whatever it would be, he would go to those things. Being in the church as well, my dad very much involved in church, and just acting as that role for others. I did see that. At the time, I didn't understand it. I was like,
oh yeah,
you was a kid. Yeah, you don't understand what's going on, but I did see some of those things, and I understood it as I got older. But yeah, there was definitely family members. There were friends who didn't necessarily have fathers. One of my close friends growing up in high school, he didn't have a father within his life, and I know it had an effect on him whether he wanted to admit it or not. So I have seen the impact of those who did not have fathers. and those who, especially men, I would say. I can't really think of a female friend I've had in my life that had that per se, but definitely on the male side of it, seeing that, just wanting that fatherly approval. I think that's something I see a lot instilled within men.
How important is that for you?
Very important. My mama should be the first one to tell you that you and your brother just wanted your dad's approval all the time. It didn't matter what I did. Now, we're mama's boys too, but my mom still says to this day that you guys look for your father's approval on so many things. And I think she's right in a lot of ways. She's right in a lot of ways. You know, I would say now I look for just, am I doing a good job? Because, you know, as you're younger, you challenge your parents, you challenge their parenting skills, and saying, oh, you could have did this, you could have did that. And my dad told me, well, wait till you become a parent and we'll see how you do. And that is the challenge that he put forth once I became a father, in terms of, all right, well, you're up to bat now, so let's see how you do. Remember all the criticisms you gave me. Exactly. Let's see you do it. And I mean, he's told me thus far that, you know, my brother and I are doing a good job, and I appreciate that from him, that he has said those things. So yeah, I that is something of importance. Yes, you know, I've looked for my dad's approval in a lot of different ways.
And I think most people do.
Yeah. It was very motivating. I mean, even for me going to school and pursuing my career and wanting to do education, wanting to be a professor, I wanted to do something that my parents could be proud of, but also my dad, because I knew my dad wanted to go to college. He had told me this. He said he wanted to go to college. He wanted to go to Villanova specifically. I think he had gotten maybe a partial scholarship, wanted a scholarship in track, but just couldn't afford the rest. His parents couldn't afford the rest, so he wasn't able to go. And that was something that I knew, I would say in middle school, I wanted to go to college. I knew at some point I would probably want to become a college professor. So when I did go to Lincoln University, I got accepted for undergraduate. I really wanted to pursue my career, not only for myself, but also for my dad, who didn't have that opportunity to go at that current time. So that played a part as well.
You know, people listen to this podcast, they're saying, man, this guy's had a perfect life.
Oh, no.
Is it safe to say that?
I would say I had a perfect life. I've had a good life. There have been peaks and valleys throughout it. Now I'm 37. I'll be 38 in October 1st. But I've had some down parts as well. I've definitely had some down parts, whether it was in my childhood, whether it was in my young adulthood, and even and now there's been challenges, just like anyone else. So no, it wasn't perfect, not at all.
Because you learn, if you haven't learned it yet, but you will learn that, because the Father Forever makes a statement like, there's no such thing as a perfect father.
That's right.
Because life is hard.
That's right.
Life is challenging.
That's right.
And there's too many moving parts.
That's right.
You know, to just pull together and boom.
That's right. And that's something that I've come to appreciate. Because like I said, you know, when you're younger, you don't necessarily understand why your parents are a certain way, but you come.
You're not supposed to.
Exactly.
You're supposed to. You're a kid. You're supposed to have fun and play and run around and enjoy life.
Oh, yeah.
And mom and dad takes care of everything.
That's right.
Or does mom take care of whoever's in the house?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Got a tough question for you here. Is there anything that your dad disappointed you that you may have done or didn't do?
Okay.
That you expected, was hoping that he did that didn't take place, for whatever the reasons may be.
Of course.
It's not about right or wrong.
Right.
It's just speaking the fact of it.
Of course. My dad and I have had that conversation before. We sat down, man, it's probably been close to about 10 years. 10 years ago, somewhere around there, 8 to 10 years ago, we sat down, went to lunch, and I was able to express some of the things that I felt he was shorthanded on. And even though my dad was a hard worker, he was a person, he provided whatever we needed. Because he was a hard worker, it took away from time that I felt he should have been there for things. So, say I won an award for academics, an award ceremony, all right? He couldn't necessarily make it all the time because of having to work. He was working. Now, I did play, sports there for a little bit, but more of my memories are of my mom being at my sporting events more than my dad. And I didn't play sports for a very long time, but I mean, I did do t-ball and all that stuff, for a little bit. And my memories are more of my mom being there more so than my dad. So for the emotional side of things, yeah, I wish there was more of that. My dad is very old school in terms of little hard-edged in terms of his emotion. Now, I know my dad has feelings. I've seen my dad cry before. I know, he can be sad or hurt just like anyone else. But a lot of those things were instilled of, you kind of hold those things in. That's what was called being a man at the time. You hold those things in. So
men don't cry.
Men don't cry, So there were things that I would say I went through as a child that I wanted to express more, but maybe I held within. Well, actually, I shouldn't say maybe I did hold within in terms of emotions that I had that I did not learn was an issue until later on in life. And it took and I'm still learning in terms of how to not only express myself, but also be able to verbalize it as I'm going through it rather than, holding it in. And I do a lot better than I did before, but that was something that I kind of had to unlearn.
And it's a process.
It's a process. It's very much so. It very much so is. This is where I get to the importance of mental health. My girlfriend Whitney, her having a background in mental health, very important to stress that. And mental health is something that is very important. And there's a lot of peaks and valleys and things that I've gone through life. But definitely when I was younger, I wish I could express more. I wish I could have had conversations with my parents about, some of the fights that they had, some of the arguments. Of course, that's not kids' business,
Right.
But I wish I could have been able to say, hey, what's going on? Why is this going on? Why are you disagreeing with this? Why are you disagreeing with that? Because there were things that I saw in the home as well that, have stuck with me as I've been an adult. Oh, yeah.
And as a kid, you have to stay in your lane.
That's right.
Because you're a kid.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. And my dad shared, things later on. Well, this happened because of this. And my dad's one of those folk. It's not that he won't answer the question. You have to ask the question, and you have to ask the right question. And if you ask the right question, my dad will tell you. He'll tell you why. Now that I'm older, he'll say, well, this happened because of this. And I did this because I felt, not that he feels that necessarily everything he did was right, but he'll explain why he did things.
And it goes back to what I was saying about, a father forever we speak on. There's no such thing as a perfect father.
No, not at all.
We just do the best that we know how to do. And that's why we have this diamond culture.
Right.
The spiritual wellness, the mental wellness, physical wellness, financial wellness.
Right.
And one thing we always harp on is the best gift you can give your child is your time.
Yes. 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 Time is the most valuable thing.
Priceless.
Yes, very much so. And, we all have time. And a professor of mine, a mentor of mine would tell me this quite often. He's a very busy gentleman. And he said, Jordan, he said, the one thing that you can sort of kind of control, he said, of course we don't know what's going to happen in life, is how you use your time. He said, everyone gets 24 hours in a day, so it's how you use it. He said, try to control it as best as possible because you're going to have things that come up. People that come along in your life that try to take away your time, sometimes in a negative fashion. And you have to be aware of those things and try to control it. So that is something that I value is time. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Can't get it back.
You can't get it back. You can't get it back.
Now, you also have a brother.
I do have a brother,
Now,
yes.
Is he your father?
He is a father. He is a father.
So you're an uncle then?
I am an uncle, yes. Very much so. So I have a nephew who will be, I believe, 21 this year. 21. I also have a niece as well. My niece, oh, she probably yell at me right now, but I think she's going to be 8. Don't quote me on that one.
Little one.
And then also, that's something very unique from my brother that I've learned as well, is my brother is also a stepfather as well. So Jarrett, I believe, will be about 24, 25, or turn 24, 25 this year. So yeah, my brother, altogether, 3 kids. 3.
So from what the environment that you guys was raised in,
Yeah.
you guys was able to get a positive thing out of that and dwell on being the best fathers you can be.
That's right. That's right. And that's the thing that you can learn from parents also. You can learn things through the positives you saw, as well as the negatives that you saw. So us coming up, it wasn't, hey, we got spankings. We got, my mom, she would have a fly swatter, might hit the legs a little bit, might use the belt, my dad, same thing. But going through that, my brother has never spanked any of his kids, never. Nope. And he's talked about that. He's like, that's just not something I want to continue on. Now me being a father, no, that's not something I plan to do either. In terms of some of the emotional stuff, I think my brother has tried his best to try to be emotionally there as much as possible. And like you said, he's made his own mistakes as well. I'm sure he wouldn't mind, discussing those things. He's talked about those things with me. But he's also tried to do the best that he can as well. So I think from our parents, there's a lot that we learned in terms of trying to, be the best that we can now that we're both dads. Yeah.
So you talked about your grandfather, you talked about your father, and your brother as a father. Let's talk about you as a father, because you're also a stepfather and a father.
That's right. That's right.
Let's talk about that.
That's right. So, man, I would say this was 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I started dating my girlfriend Whitney, and great, beautiful woman, and she had a son at the time. I think Ethan at that time was 8, and she said, hey, obviously he's gonna be with me, so if we do decide to date, is that something that you're ready for?
She's a package deal?
Oh yeah, package deal. And I wasn't, it wasn't something that I hesitated on per se, in terms of him being involved, and him, obviously her being a mother and a single mother at that. I was very conscious of that. But yeah, it was great. I think I met Ethan about maybe 2-3 months after we were dating, or after we, were courting each other. And he was great. He was a great guy off the bat. Ethan is autistic. He's on the spectrum for autism. And she had told me that ahead of time as well. And I had some experience in that because of my previous marriage. 2 of my ex-wife's cousins were autistic, so I'd had a little bit of a idea on how that went. And yeah, it was great meeting Ethan. Great kid. I warned Whitney ahead of time that she said, well, I'm going to introduce you to him early and we'll see how things go. She said, if things don't work out, then, it's no big deal. I said, oh, no. I said, trust me. I said, he's not going to forget me. Trust me. I said, I kind of had I just felt that with Ethan, that he was just a cool guy right off the bat. And it was easy. I didn't try to push myself on as being his dad. I know he has a father. He knows who his father is. He sees him from time to time, and I never tried to say, hey, I'm the stepdad and all that stuff. But I did feel it was important to be a male figure in his life. And if he chose to see me as a father, then great. If he chose to see me as a friend, that's great too. But I wanted to be a male support for him because I knew he needed it. Oh yeah, definitely.
Was his father involved in a positive manner in his life? His father?
His father, not so much. Not so much. I think he tries as best as he can do He's dealing with some personal issues with substance abuse and things of that nature. So he's dealing with his own issues. So I think he's doing the best that he feels as though he can do. But obviously, there's a lot of time missing. And as we said before, time is the most important thing. So there's not a lot of times he sees his dad. Ethan gets to see his dad throughout the year. But he still is excited to see him when they do hang out. He still does ask to see him. And I don't think that will change because, that is his dad. But for me, I just try to be there to give him some of those things, especially from a black male father's perspective, because I know he has 2 uncles. Whitney has 2 twin brothers. So he has that there. Whitney's father, unfortunately, passed away. So he doesn't see see his grandfather, and his dad's dad. He doesn't see him as often. So, I was just like, hey, I could see that, he needed some type of a positive male figure in his life. So I said I would do that as best as I could.
And what you're able to do, you're able to give him the most priceless gift.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you told me when you guys first, when you first met what's his name?
Ethan.
Ethan.
Yep.
He's going to remember me.
Yeah, yeah.
And the way people remember people
Mm-hmm.
is by how much time they spend with him.
Yeah, yep.
And then there's a little guy that came around almost a couple years ago. Well, tell me something about him.
Oh yeah, so Niall, my son Niall, so he was born premature, 2022, August 6th. Whitney and I was getting towards the end of my PhD, and the reason why I didn't have kids previously is because I knew I was going to be in school for a long time, and back again to time, is I knew school took up a lot of time, and if I was going to be the best dad that I could possibly be, I needed to be close to finishing or completely finished. So I would say this was end of 2021. I knew I was nearing the end of my dissertation, and I said, hey, I think this would be the time. This would be the time next year, 2022. So yeah, he was supposed to be born October. I'm October 1st. He was supposed to be my Libra buddy. We were going to be Libra brothers, and I was excited for that. But what is the old saying? People make plans and God laughs, or something of the sort. Yeah. So that's exactly what.
If you want to make God laugh, make plans.
That's right. That's right. So Niall was born premature. Whitney unfortunately had preeclampsia. So she didn't have preeclampsia with Ethan, but with Niall she had preeclampsia. And Niall was born about 2 months early. So Niall came in August, and then I defended my dissertation October. It was supposed to be the opposite. I was supposed to defend my dissertation in August. Niall comes in October, but that's not what happened. And changed my life. Changed my life. People tell you about fatherhood. You had told me about fatherhood. Others had told me about fatherhood. But there's really not a true understanding until the child comes along. That's right.
Until you put them sandals on, walk that mile, right?
That's right. That's when I truly had an understanding of what people were talking about, especially as I see him getting older and he looks more and more like me. And I'm like, the things I see him do, I'm like, hey, that's me. I look at pictures of myself when I was a kid. I say, hey, that's me. So it's great to have that. He brings a great joy to me.
Such a joy, unspeakable joy, huh?
Oh yeah.
Words does not come up with the words, man. Because when something touches your heart and soul, man.
Oh yeah.
There's not a word to describe the magnificent joy of it.
Yes. He brings me a great joy every single day.
Now, is Ethan enjoying being a big brother?
Of course. At first, he wasn't so sure, and that's the fun part.
It was new to him.
Exactly, and that's the fun part with Ethan, because
how old is Ethan?
Ethan now is 14.
Okay.
So he was 12 at the time, and prior to that, Ethan used to say he wanted twin brothers. He said, he would talk to Whitney and I. He said, I want twin brothers. I want twin brothers. And we were like, okay. And, you know, twins run on my side of the family as well. My mom's had twins on their side, and Whitney has 2 twin brothers, so twins wouldn't be uncommon. So we said, okay, if you had twin brothers, what would you name them? And of course, Ethan, being as fun as he is, would say, Books would be the name of one of them, and Nothing would be the name of the other. So Books and Nothing was the 2 names. So we used to get a kick out of that. And then once we told him that, you know, hey, you're going to be, and Ethan already has a sibling. So he has a sister as well. He has a half sister. So he already has had experiences of being a sibling, but he doesn't see his sister as much, you know, but they try to stay in contact as best as possible. But when we told him, oh man, he was upset. He was upset. He was like, what? I can't believe this is happening. But the reason why is because he really wanted a home. He wanted a backyard really bad. And he wanted to have the home first, then a sibling come. And that's really what he really wanted. Because Whitney had been telling for a very long time, you know, hey, one day you're going to have a backyard and all that stuff. So that's really what happened. But after that, Niall came into the world. Niall was in the hospital because of him being premature and having hyperinsulinism. He had to stay in the hospital for about 100 days. But once he did get to come home, Ethan has been right there. Ethan's been right there. He plays with Niall almost every day. He'll talk to him. Now, he's not changing any diapers. We can't get him to do that. He's not going to do any of that at all.
It's time to come for that.
One of these days, he said, no, he says it's disgusting, all that stuff. So he's not doing that. But I think he does very well. Does very well with interacting. Niall does very well as well, recognizing that's his older brother. So, and I think he's very protective. Very protective.
That's great.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Was your brother protective of you?
Yes.
So you can relate to that.
Yes. My brother was protective of me. Now, if it was me and him at home, I would get picked on all the time. But if we step out of that door, hey, it's totally different. My brother was protective. So Ethan, same thing. Ethan is very protective of Niall. If he's crying, he wants to know why he's crying, and he'll try to help and all that stuff. So Ethan's very good. Very good.
Yeah, I want you to know we're going to, when you come to LA, we're going to do a second version of this.
Yeah, I'm with it.
But I want men to know, fathers to know, you didn't have a perfect upbringing.
No.
There were some challenges with your dad.
Right.
And the, I don't know if you and your brother have bumped heads, but brothers always do that anyway. But
that's right.
You know, and so even though you have, you were able to sustain the challenges that present them to you. You didn't give up.
No.
I don't know if there was any drug addiction on your end or alcoholism or anything like that.
Oh yeah.
There was.
Oh yeah, all that. And that's sometimes surprising to some of my friends who used to come over because they didn't see, you know, a lot of those things. But yeah, when I talk about it, I said, hey, my household had some of those same issues. There was alcoholism there. Now on both my grandfathers. Now I saw it on my dad's side, on my mom's side, I saw it with my grandfather. He drank every day. First thing he did, he had a beer or a kegerator, as they would call it, down in the basement. He'd do his breakfast, all that stuff, and then he would go down and grab a beer, and that was his daily routine. He drank all the time. From what I understand about my father's father, he was a drinker as well. Drank quite often. My dad would tell me stories. I've had other relatives tell me different stories about his drinking. So, it was something that was very much a part on both sides. So my parents both were susceptible to that. And that's something that's talked about within mental health field and the medical field on how where if you have a parent who is a person who is a drinker or maybe a drug user or whatever the case, there's a possibility that you may pick up those same traits. So same thing happened with my parents. Alcohol was involved. Now it's reduced over the years, especially with my mom. My mom really doesn't drink all like that. But from a very young age up into her older age, she did drink. She drank quite often. My father drank quite often. Now he still partakes. He really shouldn't be, but he still partakes as well. And those are things that I think pass along to my brother and I. We partake in alcohol as well. It's something that my mom hopes that we do refrain from one day. It's one of her wishes that she hoped for because she didn't want us to smoke. So I'm not a cigarette smoker. My mom was a cigarette smoker, but I'm not a cigarette smoker. My brother used to be, but not anymore. He does take some. I do a cigar from time to time, things of that nature. But yeah, these are things that are within the family that have happened, and talking to others. Yeah, it's something that was common, whether it was alcohol or other substances. These are things that happen.
So what I would like these fathers, whether the young fathers or middle-aged fathers,
Yeah.
that you're an example of you can overcome all these life challenges, no matter how bad they are, if you want to overcome them.
That's right.
And I'm big on mental health because as black men, we don't talk about this stuff. We think history tells us you're a weak man.
Right.
If you cry, you're a weak man. If you talk about, express your feelings, and all that. Hey, you're a human being too.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
But man, throughout your entire conversation, the main thing that stuck with me, man, is you put in the time. And time is critical.
Yes.
Because your kids are only kids. Those 18 years go by fast.
Now I'll be 2 this year. Ethan's 14. It goes quick. It's very quick.
So I want the brothers to understand, like, no matter how tough your situation is, man, be a father forever. Man.
That's right.
Have that spiritual connection, wellness, and mental wellness, and physical wellness, and the financial wellness. And you won't be perfect, but there's no perfect fathers, no perfect mothers, no perfect children.
That's right.
We live in an imperfect world.
That's right.
But we have choices that we can make.
Exactly.
To benefit everyone, including ourselves.
Exactly.
Because there's nothing like looking back at your children and saying, well, I did something pretty good.
Yeah.
So, man, we're going to bring this to an end now. I want to thank you for your time.
Well, thank you.
And when you get to LA, we're going to do a part 2.
I can't wait. I've been talking about it. Let Whitney know I want to be back out. Let my brother know, because we were just talking about our time at LA back for the 49ers trip. So I can't wait to get back out there and see.
Okay, well, we're in Newark, Delaware. As you see this beautiful country, it's kind of like back home for me. So, again, Jordan, I want to thank you, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time, and we're going to continue changing fatherhood culture. Because whether we know or not, we are agents of fatherhood.
That's right.
So we want to let the brothers know, that, hey, man, be the best dad you can be. You will never regret it.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. And thank you for welcoming me to the club, a father forever. I appreciate it.
All right, man.
I appreciate it.
That's a take, y'all.